Yeah, so we came up with this idea of finding a way to talk about racism in St. Louis and to bring that to the surface. Yeah. So we want to find a way to actually shoot it ourselves and to be something that's create something for St. Louisans by St. Louisans. Yeah. And so we want to just capture people's perspectives on this subject matter in St. Louis and from St. Louis.
It exists. A lot of people don't want to talk about it. A lot of people want to avoid the conversation of racism, but it does exist. And I feel that there are a lot of people who are trying to get away from being racist. There are a lot of people that are becoming more open-minded. There's a lot of integrated areas, you know, but I feel that in St. Louis, a lot of African-American people are put into a box based off the news' perception of the crime rates and different things. So when you see an African-American, a lot of people of other ethnicities tend to steer away from, even Africans from Africa tend to steer away from other African Americans. And what I say by being put in a box is that they don't really give themselves a chance to interact or get a different perception. They just go off of the broad view.
I absolutely agree with her. I mean, something that's growing bigger and bigger every day. It's getting worse as we go, you know. It's not just one race, it's different, you know. In the United States, we have like, it's very diverse, you know. We have different Hispanics, it's not just Mexicans. I see a lot when I used to go to high school, oh, she's Puerto Rican. No, I'm not, I'm Mexican. Or just because you have the Hispanic face, they think you're from Cuba or Colombian, you know, and they, or like Asians, you know, they think one Asian, they're all Chinese, but it's not like that, you know. They're not, yeah, right.
Well, it's I've been here for 10 years. I'm from El Paso, Texas, where it's around 95% Hispanic, and living here in St. Louis has really changed my perspective on everything. I've been stopped by the police, and they assume that I don't know English, so they're trying to talk to me in broken Spanish, and that happens all the time, where I have people at the store in front of me talking about me, and they think I don't know what they're saying because of the way I look. So here in St. Louis, I think racism is still alive, unfortunately.
Even more so than El Paso, you think?
Much more so.
Well, there still is too damn much of it. But I can tell you this, it's a hell of a lot better than when I moved here almost 50 years ago.
How has it gotten better? How do you?
People talk to one another. Well, first of all, the civil rights movement had just barely begun when I found myself here. And so there was a great deal of tension back in those days. This is in the very early 60s. But today I see a lot less tension. I see black people and white people, certainly including myself, talking to one another all the time. And even though that's a very simple thing to consider, that may be one of the most important things to combat racial prejudice and racial division that can possibly be done. I'm from New Orleans, and years ago my family were slave owners. Now, they were domestic slaves, they were not field slaves.
Right.
And in fact, as a child, I was taken care of by, she was the granddaughter of one of my family's slaves. She was free. She was a free woman at that time.
Wow.
And people have a strange notion that slavery was all violent and vicious. It was biased, but it was not necessarily vicious at all, and there were a lot of warm feelings between slaves and owners.
Maybe it's gotten better for older generations or something, but like it's not gotten really. No, not at all. A couple minutes ago, actually, up at our school, I was talking to some of my friends, and they were talking about different races, and yeah.
Were they using slurs or anything like that, like kind of bad names?
Oh my gosh, they were. They started talking about people that were Chinese, and they asked one of our Asian friends if, like, when if it was true when you, like this stereotype, if you throw pots and pans down the stairs, that's how you get your name. Like, so they were making fun of like her, and I tried to stick up for her, but no one really listens to me. But
Yeah.
Trevon, I'm sorry about what happened to you. I'm sorry that that man put you into a box. But Trevon is an example of what happens right here in St. Louis. We're put into a box based on the styles and the way that we dress, and it's sad. A young man lost his life behind it.
Well, really don't know what to say about that, but that kind of hurted me, man, cause cause for one thing, that boy was doing nothing but mind his own business for real, just playing basketball, you know, walking up the street, and dude just had no business hurting that boy like that, you know what I'm saying? Just cause the way he looked don't mean nothing.
St. Louis is an old and traditional city, and I think there are, people are not always tolerant of races.
There is a division in St. Louis. In my opinion, at least from where I live over in the WashU area, it's right on Del Mar, right off the loop. And all the African Americans live on one side and all the Caucasians live on another side. And there's not a lot of interactions between the two. Whenever I walk down MLK, I always get comments. I've never been threatened in any capacity. Now, people have tried to sell me drugs, I've had prostitutes come up and knock on my window, but no one has ever threatened me in any capacity. In fact, I've always gotten the exact opposite. People will say, I think I got called a vanilla bunny one time, which was really funny. But they say, you know, you need to be careful walking around here. But literally the only people that really come up to me to really say much, aside from either trying to sell me something or they're there to check and make sure that I'm safe. So I've actually had that was an entirely positive experience, even though I think MLK is supposedly one of the most dangerous streets in the United States. I walked up and down it an entire summer. I was working there every day, never had a problem.
It's not just St. Louis. Right. Let's get that straight. It's not St. Louis only and just right here, because I've been around a little bit and it's in other places. Just some people, some areas are it's more acceptable, but you have to be strong. You can't just sit there and just go along with the program, or else we'll continue. And it hasn't changed yet. You know, I'm no brain scientist or anything, but what the heck? Figure it out, people. That's all I gotta say.
I think that I think that I am helping to make it better. I'm a poet. I'm a business owner. I do a lot of positive motivational speaking. I think that I can make it better by just being an example and a positive example.
I just wish people stop being jealous of other people. That's what I was really trying to say. That ain't cool at all. Because there's somebody who's doing no good, no better than you, you know? We ain't nothing but human beings. We ain't the man upstairs to do all this.
I have to agree. I mean, get to meet the person. You can't sit there and judge a person and not even know. They might be going through a hard time. They might be going through a phase. You never know. You just have to talk to a person. Hey, how are you? How are you doing today? That's it. That's all. You don't have to judge.
To help out, I'm just teaching my son that color doesn't matter. It matters what's inside.
Well, above all, it is, we are all human beings. We have the same creator. We need to live together because everybody needs to live together if they're in a community. Work at it.
Don't belittle other people, like, anytime, even if you're talking about their race or anything, like, because in the end it just makes you look like
A jerk.
a bully.
And,
like, makes you look bad.
I see it in the schools that children sit side by side, and it doesn't matter to them what color people are or their race. I like to treat people like they treat me.
Go to the places where you think you're going to get shot. Go to those restaurants, go to those stores, check out and see what a community is actually like. Talk to the people who are there. I don't think that it's any sort of an immediate fix, But I honestly think that if you have more interactions between people of different races, that's the beginning to get more things started. You have those conversations, you can actually talk to people about their individual experiences, and then from there, you can get to know someone at an individual level as opposed to judging them immediately.
The minute you start taking care of yourself, then that's when you can, it will have a ripple effect within the community and surrounding areas. We have to do better. We have to learn to really be more accepting of other races, people's feelings, who they are, and it may not be exactly what you believe, but you can still have some sort of respect for other people.
This is a poem about change. Reflections. We imperfectly strive for perfection, extending far downward in consciousness of totality, thoughts of change, rearranging the cluttering mental concentrations that clamber within our brains. And oh, how it did rain. And the pain we felt was the start of an evolving action centered around change. Growth was far but so close we could feel it. In plain view but unreachable, sincerely we were almost through with excuses. No longer needing or wanting reassurance in others. We were viewing life through the skylights of our own reality. Challenging was the way worn by footsteps covered in tears. Reflections.
My experience with racism and race in St. Louis is that it's a really charged topic. I remember when we were in New York City 2 weeks ago, I stopped to give some crackers to a homeless man, and he said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "St. Louis." And he goes, "Ooh." He was an African-American gentleman. He goes, "Ooh." And I was like, "What?" He's like, "That is a really racist city." And he'd watched documentaries and he'd heard about it. I've been here for about 7 years now, and I see it all over. So I think it's a really charged subject.
I disagree. I don't think it's really charged. I would use it. I think it's a.
See, that's what I felt like we saw, and we were talking to people. Like we saw the emotion. We just had people who were like, "No, I don't want to be on."
Okay, can we talk? Can I talk now? So what I think it is that there is something that's very racism and race is something it's just buried in the culture of St. Louis. No one really likes to talk about it. No one likes to really even feel about it, but everybody feels it. It's like that white or that big pink polka dotted elephant in the living room of each and every family, or that uncle that no one likes to talk about, but everybody knows has that issue.
Yeah.
And it is, in this case, it's a freaking gargantuan woolly mammoth or whatever it is that's in St. Louis and that no one wants to talk about, but everybody feels. And so, I think one of the things that for us, that what we...
So essentially it's a charged issue.
So one of the things that I can do about it, I would say, is doing this. Is basically creating an atmosphere for people to, at whatever level, to create dialogue.
I've had opportunities to work in settings before that are much more very direct, like we are a service to help the less fortunate. And I felt powerless. So for me, and this isn't true of everybody, but for me, and because this is a medium that I'm passionate about, I feel like this is a way that we can bring forth the topic and say, let's talk about it.
We freely welcome you guys to comment and to provide your own input for these two questions. And just to let you guys know, I mean, we were in different areas. We were in, right now today we're in East St. Louis. We did one of the interviews there. We were in our neighborhood in Dutchtown South. We were in Cherokee Street over there on California and Cherokee. We were in Clayton, DeMond area. And those are the major areas that we were. And so, again, thank you for listening to this and taking the time to listen to people's ideas and thoughts, and hopefully we would begin some kind of dialogue and continue this series of portraits. Goodbye.
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 Okay, bye.
Goodbye.
Why are you gonna be so mean to me? Just trying to be honest.
You don't want honest dialogue.
You don't want it.
They want honesty from us. That's what they're gonna get.
Whatever. That was good.